Hey everyone, Kelly Burgess here with Burge & Co. Marketing, and today we're going to talk about the latest changes in SEO, starting from really like Q3, Q4 of 2023, and then leading into the early stages of 2024. So I'm going to preface this with a few things. So first thing is that having been in this industry for over a decade now, I can honestly say that the last 2 quarters, we have seen the most core updates and algorithm changes that Google has ever put out in such a short period of time. So Google has essentially reworked the entire way that their search engine functions. And we're going to walk through what those algorithm changes were in this article, and in this video we'll give you a short snippet of it. So that's the first piece, is that there are a lot of new changes, and in this video we're going to introduce a lot of vernacular that you may not be super familiar with because they're so new, because these changes are so new. So if at any point you hear something that you are unfamiliar with and you want to learn more about, which we highly encourage, we have put a list of resources throughout the article below. We strongly encourage that you click into those resources, learn more. They really are brand new changes that is going to set the tone for your future marketing decisions. So highly encouraged to look at those resources. And then the third thing that I want to caveat with is that while we're about to introduce a lot of new terms and algorithm changes and really new strategies altogether, I want to be very clear that in light of all of these changes, Google has not done away with organic SEO. And in fact, we're finding that organic SEO has become stronger. Traditional SEO, the way that we normally think of SEO, has become stronger in light of all of these changes, because Google is really the sole goal of Google is to really understand their user experience and better the user experience. And there is no better user experience than figuring out what somebody is searching for, matching them with really good, trusted content that's going to further their journey to finding an answer. Now, hopefully they find that answer on your website and they engage with your business. That is the goal. And so because Google's goal is to better that user experience, traditional SEO is actually one of the strongest recommended marketing strategies for 2024. But all of that aside, we are going to roll through some new terms, some new trends that we're seeing, what they mean, and how you can embrace it for 2024 for your marketing strategies. Okay, first up, first acronym of the 5,000 acronyms that Google has thrown out lately. First up is AEO. So we are familiar with SEO, right? Traditional SEO, which is search engine optimization. AEO is answer engine optimization, and it's basically Google's use of AI into their search algorithms. Now, we've all seen this on some level, right? This is not completely new to Google. So at any point, if you are baking and you've Googled, how many teaspoons in a tablespoon, for example, Google will immediately give an answer. You don't have to click into a website and read an article. Like, your answer is right there on Google's page. You're good. That is a version of AEO. So essentially, Google went through all of its keywords. And remember, Google tracks what people do after they search keywords. So a lot of times you'll hear us say things like conversion-focused keywords. And that means that Google tracks movement after somebody searches a keyword, right? We have cookies and we can track what people are doing. So Google tracks movement after somebody searches certain keywords, and they can see what keywords lead to certain engagements, including phone calls, form fills, whatever you call a conversion on your site. So Google basically looked at keywords that were really just research intensive, and that didn't have a lot of engagement. Basically, they could see what somebody was searching, kind of where they scrolled to on a page, and then once they got their answer, they disengaged every single time. Maybe not every time, but you get the point. So Google found that whole list of keywords and said, well, what if we just gave them the answer right away? And we cut out the middleman and just said, hey, it seems like when people type this keyword, they just want this answer. They don't want to engage with a brand. So let's just give them that answer. So that's where AEO comes in. So Google in December and still kind of into January, that we're seeing the calmness after this big change. But really in December was super disruptive, where Google went through and found all of these keywords that people had been ranking for organically with traditional SEO. So keywords that were sending a lot of traffic to people's sites, maybe not a lot of conversions, right? We always have to remember a lot of traffic does not always equal a lot of conversions. But it was sending a lot of traffic to people's sites, and they said, you know what, we're just going to do AI generated answers for these keywords, and boom, that was it. And these AI generated answers are not attributed to any organic site. So what a lot of people saw in December was this drastic drop in organic traffic, but not much change in conversions, right? Because again, Google's looking at what keywords drive traffic, but also drive high bounce rates. People aren't really engaging, they're just looking for an answer and disconnecting. So also, side note, if that was your site and you saw a big decrease in traffic, but not a huge decrease in conversions, this may have been why. So basically, Google went through, like I said, and pulled all of these keywords and said, we're just going to do answers, AI generated answers for them, and that is that. So that is AEO. Now, again, these are very brief overviews. If you guys want to learn more, I highly recommended to dig into that article underneath. So that's the first one, AEO, biggest trend. Second to that is kind of a hybrid version between traditional SEO and Google's new AEO, again, answer engine optimization, which is pure AI. So the hybrid between that came out really more in like October, November, and then ended in December, ended being like the rollout was complete. Now this is fully integrated. It's called SGE, which is Search Generative Experience. So basically, this is a hybrid between traditional SEO and answer engine optimization. So basically, it's a hybrid between traditional SEO and AI. So essentially, if you Google something, and again, these are only for certain keywords. So if you Google something that falls into this SGE box, essentially your search results will look like a massive box at the top where you used to have like that top answer box. So it looks like that, but bigger. And it basically has this AI generated answer. And then underneath that AI generated answer are the top searches that kind of coincide with that, right? So you have pure AI. And then if people happen to want more, usually they can just find their answer with that pure AI, which is not attributed to any site. But if people happen to want more, Google puts in the top 3 to 5 organic results in that box, as well as the commonly asked questions. Now, this is interesting because one, I hope you make it into that top 3 box, because if you don't, the SGE box is so big on the home screen that it's actually reduced the number of traditional organic results underneath it. And so the idea is that Google doesn't really want people to scroll past it. It thinks that it's done a good enough job covering all bases of that question in that SGE box. And so if you don't make it in, if you're not the top 3, then people aren't going to engage with your brand. It's highly unlikely that people will engage with your brand for that specific keyword. So again, if you've lost traffic and you've seen a shift in conversions, because this is not just for non-converting keywords. This is kind of a hybrid that Google's testing out basically to find more information. Like these are the gray area keywords, and Google's trying to figure out how people interact best with it, right? So if you saw your traffic and conversions get a hit in December, like a significant hit, this might be the reason why. Your keywords might have been caught up in SGE and you didn't make the top 3, and now you're seeing the hit. So in order to make the top 3, you've got to go back to your traditional SEO techniques and make sure that you are completely shored up, because it is going to be incredibly difficult to get into that top 3. So that is SGE, Search Generative Experience. Now, there are several beta tools out that SEO agencies should be using, and we use, to help determine where a keyword is most likely to fall. Now again, these are still in beta, but we're able to see as we're making strategies, is this keyword likely to be AEO? In which case we're not going to go after it, because one, it's not going to convert in the first place, and two, even if we did try to rank for it, Google is not not using any organic results for it. So why would we push effort there, right? And then we're also looking at what is likely to be SGE. And then if it is an SGE keyword, who's the top competition? Do we have a shot at outranking them, or should we stick with a different keyword, right? Like there are a lot of things at play as you're going into 2024 to make sure, one, that you're not just giving up on these keywords, because that's not the answer, but that you are addressing them appropriately. And so you're not spinning your wheels trying to get something that you're not going to rank for when there's low-hanging fruit right next to you, and you can start climbing your way up to those heavier competition keywords, right? So there's a lot that goes into play in 2024 strategy that hasn't been in play previously. So it's very important that as you're making your keyword strategy, your SEO strategy, that you're taking all of these new aspects into consideration.